Welcome to the Automation Flows section of your system. This is where you can create any custom automation sequences for sales and marketing automation. In this example today, I already created a form. This is my request information form where I collect the first name, last name, email, and a question: do you own or rent? I'm using this form on my funnel, and now every time someone fills out this form, I want an automation flow to be triggered. So let's go into the Flow section and click on Create Flow. Here I get 3 different types of flows that I can create. Let's go over each one. A flow for contacts. This is a flow that's going to run on contacts that already exist in your system. You can think of this as a flow that you want to set up for an email newsletter or other marketing sequences that you want for contacts that you already put in your system. These could be contacts you imported via CSV file from another system. Then we have automation flows for form submissions. Now these are real-time flows that process every time your form is filled out. This is the option that I'm going to use today. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to select the form I want to hook this up to down below, my request information form. The third type of flow we have is for incoming phone calls. If you order a phone number in your new system, that phone number can be controlled by an automation flow. So think about when a call comes in, and think about the steps you would want a customer to hear: a thank you for calling message, or an interactive voice menu to push 1 for sales or 2 for support, or to forward the calls to another number. So let's create my flow for the form submission. So this is the flow that's going to run every single time my form is filled out. In this case, since I'm using the request information form, this is going to be like a lead. So I'm going to first search for the pipeline step, and I'm going to create a pipeline item for someone on my team. I'm going to create this new task in the sales pipeline, and I can specify who it's assigned to. It can be assigned to a specific user, the contact's owner, if I set one, or I can randomly pick from a list of users, or I can randomly pick from a list of users that have a specific tag. So if I have, let's say, 5 salespeople inside my system, and those salespeople all have the sales team tag, I could type in sales team tag and it would randomly pick from that list of users. In this example, I'm just going to go ahead and click on my demo user. I'm going to give this a name, call new lead. Now I can specify what column I want this to drop into, a default value, estimated close date, and the opportunity source. I'm going to say this is from my sales funnel, since I'm using this form on my funnel. I'm going to go ahead and set this to red color because I trained my team to look at the red colors first. Since this is a new lead, this needs to be called immediately. So I save this. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to start connecting these. So I'm going to take the bottom connector from the top step and drag it to the connector on the next step. Now this is hooked up. Perfect. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to add a delay. So I'm going to add a wait step. And so I want to send the customer an email after they fill out this form, but I want it to appear like a human sent the email. So I'm going to add a little bit of a delay. I'm going to say let's wait for 15 minutes. I'm going to connect this here. But for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to change this to 1 minute so you can see how it works. Next, I want to come in here and I want to add a messaging step. I want to send an email to the user. On here, I'm going to specify the subject. I can personalize this subject and say something like, "Hi, customer first name." Here, I'm going to use the value from my form. Next, I'm going to say this is from me, and I'm going to go ahead and type in my email address. Next, I'm going to specify that this is going to be sent to the contact's email address, and now I can launch the email editor. Now there's 3 different types of email editors built in here. You have the drag and drop email editor, but this email doesn't look very personal. I'm actually going to use the rich text editor. This looks like a more natural email. So I'm going to personalize this, and I'm going to say, "Hi, customer first name." I'm going to use the variable from the form, the first name field, I'm going to say, I see you currently, and I'm going to use another merge field. I'm going to use the own or rent. So this is going to say, I see you currently own, or I see you currently rent your home. I would love to chat. So it's really easy to personalize these emails. I'm going to go ahead and click Save, and I'm going to save this step. Now, if this is the first time I've typed in my email domain, it's going to give me a warning that my domain has not been connected for email sending, and we can automatically start the connection process now. I'm going to go ahead and click Yes to add this domain for email, but then I'll need to go in and complete the verification process under Connected Domains. So now that I got my email step added, I want to connect this as well. Now my flow is complete, but I can go in and do other advanced scenarios too, such as using conditions. I can conditionally route the lead based on the answers that the user picked on the form. I can do random routing, split testing, and many other steps. But this is perfect for this example, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to publish it, and now my flow is live. Next, I want to show you on this little menu on the right, I can see that this flow is hooked up to my request information form. And this runs when a form submission happens. And there's 0 people currently processed in this flow. I can see that this flow also has a name of untitled flow, so I'm going to click on that and change that. So I give this a name, I click Save, and I'm good to go. So let's go ahead and save this. And now let's exit. So now I'm going to go back to my form, and I'm going to go to the preview link, and I'm going to fill this out. And I'm going to say I own. So now when I submit this form, I get the success message that I defined. And if I go back into my system, under database, I'm going to see a new contact, Alex Joe. This was from the form that I just filled out. On here, I can see that this contact was created from my request information form. On the right, I can see they were processed in the request info email flow. And here in the middle, I can see the steps that happened when that flow was processed. So the first thing it did was create a new pipeline item, and it's currently now on the wait step, where I set it to wait for 1 minute. If I go into my pipeline over here on the right, I can see there's an entry on the sales pipeline that says call new lead. So the rest of my team is going to see this on the pipeline section. So here in my sales pipeline, I see I have a new opportunity. It says call new lead, and it's in the need to call column. So I can click on that, and I can see the details of this. Now let's go back into the database. I'm going to go ahead and open up this contact again, Alex Joe. Here, I see something new happened. The send email step was processed in the flow, and there's a red dot next to it, letting me know that there was a problem with this step. Remember, I set up this email to be sent after we wait for 1 minute. So it started waiting at 7:08, and it finished waiting at 7:09. I can always click on the red dot to learn more and see what steps were processed in my flow and what the problem was. But I already know what the problem is because I didn't connect my domain for the email sending yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually dive into the site section, and I'm going to see my connected domains, and I'm going to see I have my myemaildomain.com that hasn't been verified. I know it hasn't been verified because these icons are not green. Here, I have to verify some email DNS settings to connect my domain for email. So I'll click on this. And now I'm going to see 3 DNS settings I need to update with my domain provider. Here it tells me that I currently use GoDaddy for my domain. These are the DNS settings I'll need to copy. We're going to go through connecting your domain for email sending and website hosting in another video. Once you go ahead and complete these steps, I'd want to go through and test my flow again. The easiest way to do that is to come in and to fill out the form. Since every time I fill out the form, the flow runs automatically. So I'd go through the same process again of diving into my database, seeing the new contact that was created, and being able to see if the email was sent successfully. This is the main way you'll troubleshoot your flows, because here you'll see the execution history for every flow, the contact created, and the flow that it was run in. I'm going to show you now another way you can troubleshoot your flows and see what happened. You're going to go into the flow section, and here you're going to look for the flow that you created, the request info email flow. Here I can see how many contacts are currently subscribed in that flow. I can click on this number, and it's going to show me all the contacts that were triggered in this flow. Here I see my contact Alex. I can click on that to go to the contact details. I can see how this flow was triggered, and I can also click on the flow activity button to see all the details for what was processed in this flow. And now the right way to read this table is you can see that the first step was processed as the create pipeline item. It created a new opportunity, and then it waited for a specific amount of time. That step was processed, and it decided to wait until this specific time, where it then decided to process the next step, send email. Then when the send email step tried to send, it failed because there's no verified send from email address found. So after I click that error, I can try to reprocess this and continue processing from this step, or I could just fill out the form again to try to start fresh. So this wraps it up today on how to use automation flows in your new system, where we went over a simple example of how you can hook up an automation flow to your form and send out personalized, automated marketing messages. I appreciate you joining me today. Now it's time to start building your flows.